Brad Drewett, thank you very much for being with us on wearetennis.com, and we're speaking to you on this occasion with your new appointment. Tell us about it.
Oh, look, it's very exciting for someone who's been involved in the game for over 30 years as a player originally, and then in business, and then also, of course, with the ATP. It's a great honour and privilege to be appointed the chairman of the ATP. It's a big responsibility, and one I'm looking forward to undertaking the next 3 years.
Did you always have these sort of aspirations?
No, not really. I've never been someone to sort of map out my life and say, look, in 5 years, or I want to be doing this or that. My career post-tennis has just evolved. I got into business in tennis and sports very early after I retired from playing, and was asked to become a board member of the ATP, which I did, and stayed on the board for 5 years. And then I was asked by the then chairman if I would like to join the actual management of the ATP. And I actually hesitated. It wasn't an automatic decision to do that. Fortunately, I said yes, and 10 or 12 years later, I have been appointed the chairman.
You and I grew up in the same suburb. I'm glad you've caught up to me for status now. All kidding aside, you must be pretty proud of what you've achieved.
Oh, look, I mean, like I said, I'm not someone to sort of set long-term goals, and I just, since a young kid, I've always been taught, like most kids, about trying to do your best. And I remember back in Kalani Heights High, we had a very strict headmaster who really, was very, very strict about dress and work ethic and achieving, your very best, whether it be academically or also on the sports field. So in my life, I've just sort of followed that credo that, whatever I did, try and do my best. And if you do that, things will happen, and hopefully good things. So I feel very lucky that, that I've been able to not only play tennis professionally, but also stay in the game from a management point of view.
Bradley, as a player, what was your biggest win?
I often joke that my biggest win was when I was 17 and I made the quarterfinals of the Australian Open. I was still a junior back then, and that was a big moment for me. I lost in the quarterfinals to my then hero, and my hero still today. That's Ken Rosewall. So for me, that is still the biggest moment. So I often joke, with my friends say to me that your career peaked at 17, but that was a wonderful time.
Yeah, I'm surprised you say that. I mean, I would have thought your biggest win was the one you had over me. I gave you a walkover. I missed the train to the tournament. We were drawn to play each other.
Why is it I've forgotten that? I can't even remember. I don't even know if you played tennis.
I'm surprised you've forgotten such important dates of your life. What are your priorities in this role as chairman and chief executive of the ATP World Tour?
Look, I've got a number of ideas, obviously that I'd like to see happen. In terms of broadly speaking, I mean, the game is in wonderful health right now. The ATP is very strong commercially and also promotionally. So one of my broad objectives is to keep that progress going and help it get stronger and stronger over the next 3 years. In terms of individual initiatives, I've only been in the job 3 weeks. I have a number of ideas, but I plan to discuss those with the various councils and with my board in the coming months.
You've also, I think you're very fortunate, as some of your recent predecessors in this role, to have an amazing group of players at the top of the game.
It is incredible. I don't know any time in the history of the sport we've had such a great group of players, and by great I mean a few things. Firstly, amazing players on the court. I mean, the standard of tennis now is like never before. Secondly, they're great people off the court. They really care about the sport. They respect the history and really care about the future. So I'm very lucky to have players who are not only wonderful on the court, but are great ambassadors off the court. And thirdly, all those players are very involved with the structures in terms of the management of the company. And so Roger Federer being the president of the Player Council, Rafa, the vice president, they're two players I'll be working very closely with in all the things that we do over the next few years. So I feel very fortunate on a number of different levels about having such a great group of young men in the sport right now.
How do you feel about moving to London from Australia?
Well, I love Sydney. I'm a Sydney boy, and for me nothing's better than Sydney, but London I've always enjoyed very much. Obviously, as a young player I went there very early. As a 17-year-old, I've been going there every year since, either to play Wimbledon or for meetings, and so I'm very comfortable in London. I like the environment there, and also they play cricket and rugby, so that's also
you should
a positive.
be right at home. Yeah, exactly. How does it sit with you if I was to say, how does it feel to be one of the most powerful people in sport?
Well, I've never really thought of it that way. I mean, I just, it sort of goes back to what, me having goals about the future. I've never sought to be in a position of power or setting goals to be somewhere in tennis or in world sport. So to me, I'm very comfortable, in this world of tennis. I feel like I know pretty much everything about how the world operates in sport, in tennis in particular, commercially, on the court, in the rules, regulation, the politics, the people. So I'm very comfortable in this world of global tennis.
How often do you get to play these days?
Not very often. The last time I played was about a month ago, and I knew I was in trouble because my 17-year-olds who don't play tennis beat me. So there's an indication. I knew it was going to happen one day, but I didn't think it would happen this early.
Okay, finally, from Killarney Heights to the world stage, just repeat a question. What was your biggest win?
Well, I have to say, if I had known, it would have been Craig Gabriel's default. But see, I can't even remember that. I got to say, sorry, Craig.
It was Wollongong.
Sorry, Craig. It was Ken Rosewall.
Bradley Drewett, thanks for being with us.